I want to be known when the good Lord takes me home that, hey, I did make a difference in other people's lives and help them get out of that rut. And get out of that that mindset we were taught since high school, that just do enough just to get by. I want everyone to have generational wealth. I want everybody to have millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, prayerfully. That they can leave to their children, grandchildren, and leave that legacy. Why not?
Yeah.
And that's something that I think most people want.
Correct.
Why they join your team? People want to belong to something special.
Yes, they do.
And they want to know through their hard work and pain and sacrifice, there's a light at the end of that tunnel.
Correct.
And if they know you're their life coach or mentor, that's kind of what I am. I'm not an IMO, FMO. I was like, no, I'm your coach. They called me Coach Tony. I'm their mentor. I'm their coach. I'm here to help them get to their promised land.
What is up? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins, and today we have a special guest back in office. This cat, before I go to him, man, he's been on the channel before. Super impressive dude. Today's topic, by the way, is going to be on building an empire and how you can start to build your empire within your insurance business. This gentleman has exited 2 different companies. He's also involved in helping in acquisitions and investing side of our industry, as well as a bunch of new AI companies, like a crazy resume with a wealth of information, crazy prepared. He's going to drop some absolute nuggets today. So welcome back to the podcast from Global Premier Benefits, Tony Holland.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, buddy?
I'm
Good
here
to see
at 8%
you, bro.
Nation. I'm excited, man.
Dude, I'm excited you're here,
I'm pumped up, man.
I'm
ready to do battle.
Let's go. That's what I love about you, bro.
I'm excited.
Your energy is always on point. Yeah. And you are always. This is kind of off topic, but you are always ready.
Yes.
I think a lot of people we work with. I mean, a lot of people we see in the industry, they're not ready. They're not prepared. They're not showing up early. They're not dressed like you are. You know what I mean? You are very intentional about the persona and brand that you put out.
Right.
Where's all that come from?
I just think it comes from my childhood, the way I was raised.
Yeah.
And also my affiliation with sports, playing football and coaching. I played 16 years of football and
that's awesome.
Got the knees to prove it. 13 years I coached. But how do you go? To me, I ask guys this and young ladies that are in the business, how do you go into a game and not have game plan? If you're coaching any sport, right, don't you have to practice?
Yeah.
You got to prepare. You got to get ready. You got to make sure the equipment works. You got to know what you're going to call on first down, second down, first series, second series, third series. You got to have a game plan. And that was one of the things I was very successful at when I coached. We had 13 championships over 13 years, 5 state championships, and we weren't always the most gifted team. We didn't have the most gifted players. I wasn't the most gifted coach, but I'm going to out-prepare you.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I'm prepared. I always have my notes. I want to dress. I get up extra early, work out, dress nice, prepare myself for whatever. I don't care what it is. I want to be prepared for that moment.
What time you normally get up?
It depends on what part of the country I live.
Yeah, true.
So if it's West Coast time, East Coast time, so I try. If it's East Coast time, I'm usually up by 5:30, ready to roll, ready to knock it out. But it depends.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah, very similar. I'm going to play ball at 6 o'clock and most mornings. I try to play some basketball.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
I did that this morning. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It was a blast. I loved it. Well, what's interesting is we have a lot of agents and agencies around the country that watch our podcast and listen. And they love when we bring someone on who has done something special and built something special like I know that you have, right? And so we're honored to have you back.
Thank you.
When we talk about building an empire, define that before we get into some of the strategy and some of the tactics.
So, and before I get into that, I want to thank you, Cody.
Thank you,
You've been great to work with. We've known each other over the last few years. Your team at 8% Nation's the best. Every time I come, and I love your new office. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
If you haven't been to his new office, you got to check it out. It's
it.
like state of the art, man. It is impressive stuff.
Thank you.
I thank you and your team, and I thank God that we've connected. I give all glory to God first and foremost. Let your audience know that.
Amen.
That's one of my first principles. Cody, if you want to build an empire, you got to be the right kind of leader, and you have to have your priorities correct. And number one, you have to have God first in your life. And my priorities weren't always perfectly aligned, just so you know that. And so I think that alignment is so important. God's got to come first. In the old days, it was then my family, then my business, everybody else, then me. Well, now that's changed. God first, Tony second. Because if you don't have you as a priority above all else, how are you going to take care of your family? How are you going to take care of your business? How are you going to take care of everybody else in the community? So I made that change about 8-9 years ago, that I wanted to make sure I was top on that list. Not above God, but right next to God. I got to make sure I'm taking care of Tony. So I think that's one of my key principles. Keep your priorities. That's good. I think that's important.
That's good. Yeah, because if you're out of whack, man, you can't take care of yourself or anybody else for that matter, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And you've been able to help a ton of people over your career.
Yes.
And that's probably by really being intact, knowing who you are, and showing up every single day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a lot of guys get that out of line. They wind up with, medical problems. They're overweight. They got all kinds of, challenges with alcohol, drugs, or whatever, just to get by. And it just, put themselves as a priority and make sure you're in shape. Eating right, taking the right supplements and vitamins, working out every day. I think those are important things to make sure you are proud. Take care of yourself mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. I think that's important.
Correct. And yeah, it's extremely important. Also, it's kind of interesting. All the things you're talking about, they talk about, you're talking about leaders and who they need to be.
Yes.
One of the things I've noticed with you is that you have done, and I love it too, like you're vulnerable, you're transparent. Like when you screw up, you own it, right?
Absolutely.
I've learned a lot from that, as I have screwed up a ton.
We all have.
Right?
It's part of being human.
Yeah, amen.
We all have.
Talk about being the right kind of leader.
I think the right kind of leader, number one, you got to lead by example, and you got to lead with integrity. Yes. I think that's important, because people don't always, they hear what you say, but really it's more important they see what you're doing. I think that's most important. Do you practice what you preach? It's like being the right kind of parent. People said, my kids are very, very, very accomplished, very successful. One just graduated from West Point.
Wow.
He's going to be flying helicopters starting, I think, this month.
He's at flight school. Oh, my gosh.
And people said, how'd you do that? I'm like, I had to lead by example, He saw what his dad was doing. Your kids are going to model what you do. So your agency, your organization, your building are going to model what you do. So I was always known to be prepared. I got my notes.
That's right.
I started before anybody else did. If the day started with everybody else at 8, I'm starting at 7. I want to be an hour before everybody else. And if everybody wraps up at 6, I'm working until 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. So one thing for sure, I'll never be outworked. And I think that's important. Your people know you own your work ethic, you own your integrity, and you got to have passion. If you don't have passion, you can say I'm a pretty passionate guy.
That's right, dude.
When I coached football, my kids were on fire. They couldn't wait to be on Coach Tony's team because I exude passion, especially during those challenging times. And that's one of the things I talk about in life and in business. You're going to go through an adversity. How are you going to get out of that adversity? One, we already talked, you got to be grounded. You got to have the right principles and priorities. But you also got to have that enthusiasm, that passion for life to work your way out of that challenge. True. So you got to be very passionate. I think another key point to your audience, you need to know, you got to be a master of the craft. I have 3 pointers I give people. You have to have the right attitude, which goes along with that passion. You have to have strong work ethic, and that's one thing I tell you. You'll never outwork me.
Amen.
I did a workshop about 3 weeks ago, one of my brunch and learn sessions, and I travel around the country, as you know, doing workshops with 30, 40, 50, sometimes 100 people. And there was a big dude in the audience, and he had these arms bigger than my leg. He was a stacked brother. He was that guy. I was in Chicago, and I pointed him out. I said, you know what? We're going to go at it. Let's say we went at it. We're going to have a fist fight. You may win, but I ain't quitting. I said, there's 2 things going to happen. Either you're going to beat my tail, that's fine. But you know what? 2 things are going to happen. Either you're going to have to kill me or you're going to have to quit beating my tail. But I'm not going to quit. I said, even if I was down on my back and my mouth could still move, I'm going to bite the mess out of your ankles until you quit. And he cracked up laughing. The audience cracked up laughing.
Oh, I love
think,
that.
that's kind of my attitude about life and about business. I will never be outworked. So I think work ethic is important. And you got to master the skill set. You got to master the art of recruiting. You got to master the art of networking. You got to master the art of selling. You got to master the skill set. It's amazing how many guys I meet and young ladies in this business, they haven't mastered the skill set you need to be successful in the business. Yeah. So those three elements: the right attitude, the right work ethic, and you also got to master the skill sets. And another key point: don't be a boss. Okay, you need to be a leader. I didn't want that boss persona out there.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for you and your family.
That's right.
I'm here to help you. When I was coaching ball, I'm here to help you get a scholarship to that dream college. And their parents knew, hey, it's not about the award and the trophies, and I won two National Coach of the Year awards. It's not about all that. I want that kid to know that I played a part in helping them get into college on a full ride.
That's right.
So you need to make sure when you're being the right kind of leader, Cody, it's what's best for them first. It's what they're going to get out of the opportunity. And that's something I think is what my final bullet point. You got to be an expert in praise and recognition. And I give a tip to people.
That's
How
tough
could I be
for
a
leaders.
Better? What's that?
That's tough for leaders.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I tell people, if you want to get better at leadership, go coach a youth sport. Basketball, baseball, football, because you have kids that are volunteering to be there. So you got to really, 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 really work on your skill set to keep them engaged, keep them interested. To me, that's been one of the greatest, I think, tools for me to become a better leader is that I coach sports. And it helped me be an expert in praise and recognition. Sports do that. That's
cool. That's good, man. So many leaders naturally want to make it about themselves and don't. I had trouble praising, recognitioning our team for years, and I feel like that we've gotten a lot better at that. That's just so important.
Yeah, I think most people, Cody, haven't had that kind of praise and recognition since high school.
Yeah.
I mean, when your name was in the newspapers and you're cheering for you and you're playing football in front of thousands of people or basketball in a nice stadium. You played basketball, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We love that energy and excitement, and most people haven't felt that good since high school.
You're
so
right.
you want to bring that kind of environment. And that's another thing. I think great leaders create a special environment.
That's what it does, too.
When you walked into my office, I had this big old dream board, and it was amazing. When people walked in, they knew Tony was serious. And then what I would have them do, I had them put their goal on my dream board. Okay, we got this big, and I had a map, the big old map of the United States. I'm like, I had a star wherever we're going to go. We're going to build a team. Pick out a star. Where are you going to build your team?
Cool.
And then put your dream up there. So it was a Rolex watch, put it up there. College education for your kids, put it up there. Whatever their dream was, because I wanted our dreams to be a collective dream. So I have like a wall of fame that I tell agents out there and brokers and I work with IMOs, FMOs, NMOs.
Yeah.
I say, send me a picture of that dream.
You work with a lot of IMOs too.
Yeah, I have a lot of guys I work with, help guys get, help them through acquisition, as you said earlier.
Yep.
But I want to know their dream. Their dream's more important than my dream.
That's right.
So I'm there to help them achieve their goals. So I make all my guys set up their dream board because I want to know I'm doing this in my organization. I want you to do it in your organization. I want people to know when you join Tony Holland Global Premier Benefits, we're here to help people achieve their dreams.
Yes.
It's that special environment.
It is, man. And that's what it creates because you're also helping enough people accomplish their dreams. And guess what, dude? And Globals can accomplish it at the same time. Yeah.
It's about them. Like, Eric Allen's wife, she
cool dude too.
Yeah, Eric's awesome.
He's amazing.
He's one of my top guys, and he
great.
started with me with practically nothing and built an empire. He's also an integrity partner.
Amazing.
And his wife asked me. He was there at the signing with Brian Adams with the video. She's pulled me aside. She goes, "So what's next? You got the dream. You got generational wealth." And I mean, I had a phenomenal deal. And I think or opportunity. I like the word opportunity better than deal. I mean, what Brian Adams and Integrity did for me, and we could talk about my relationships there, but it was just incredible. She asked me, "What's next?" I said, "I'm here to do that for y'all and everybody else in our organization, and even those I haven't met. I want to do it for them. I want to be known when the good Lord takes me home that hey, I did make a difference in other people's lives and help them get out of that rut." and get out of that that mindset we were taught since high school. That just do enough just to get by. I want everyone to have generational wealth. I want everybody to have millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, prayerfully. That they can leave to their children, grandchildren, and leave that legacy. Why not?
Yeah.
And that's something that I think most people want.
Correct.
Why they join your team? People want to belong to something special.
Yes, they do.
And they want to know through their hard work and pain and sacrifice, there's a light at the end of that tunnel.
Correct.
And if they know you're their life coach or mentor, that's kind of what I am. I'm not an IMO, FMO. I was like, no, I'm your coach. They called me Coach Tony. I'm their mentor. I'm their coach. I'm here to help them get to their promised land, kind of like Moses in the Bible.
Yeah, that's good, man. Yeah, and to the team piece, like it's such a valuable part. Like everything started to I think as John Maxwell put it in his book, Developing Leaders Around You, he says that an organization's growth potential is directly related to its personnel potential.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So good.
And some people say, well, how do you bring that out? First of all, I think everybody has a competitive edge. It may not be in sports. It could be in writing, could be in dancing. So I know I use sports as an analogy, but there's some very competitive people in the music industry, in the dance industry and other industries. So, but I think when you how to create that special environment, I think awards are important, contests, do trips. I tell people all the time, incorporate the family into the trips. All my trips, they could bring their kids.
That's cool.
Bring your spouse and your kids.
That's cool.
Have play days. Like, remember in high school and in elementary school, we had play days? Remember play day?
Yeah,
why not do that at your office? I mean, I used to do putt-putt in the office. We would do a month contest and have little holes set up in the office and play putt-putt. Doing
nice.
March Madness. I love basketball. I would set up basketball hoops in the office, and they would shoot baskets during the month. They couldn't wait for March Madness.
That's awesome.
So every month I had something fun and exciting, theme parties and play days, and I always make sure all my people get a birthday gift. I send them a birthday gift, and they call me up, thank you for my birthday gift. Call them on their birthday. I think those are important. See, people want to know their leader loves them.
Yeah.
See, my football players knew I loved them. I got 30 kids that went off to play ball in college, which I was pretty impressed with. And, and many of them now are in their 20s call me up and say, Coach, I had a lot of coaches and you're my best. I love that. Or they text me saying, hey, I just got straight A's again, and boom. Or they get a job offer for their lifetime. And, they remember what I did for them when they were 13, 14, 15 years old.
Yes.
Coaching them in football. And it's like they knew I loved them,
Correct.
Do your people know you love them during the good times, and also do you love them when it's not so good? You got to be there to catch people when they screw up, because they're going to screw up, or there's a crisis in their family. I've gone to a ton of funerals for my people. And if I can't be there, they're getting flowers, they're getting calls from me to let them know that, I care about them. I think it's also important, Cody, you got to create, some people say, how do I create that competition? My people are competitive. Create a leaders board. People want to see their name at the top of the leaders, but they work more for their name on that board than they do for the paycheck. And again, be about their family. Just love on those people.
Yeah.
Just love on them.
It's an important piece for sure. I love that you allow them to bring kids on trips too. Like, I think that's special.
Yeah.
Man. People, it becomes a special moment for the whole family, and like a memory that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Which is how you have. If you think about all those things, it's helped you attract phenomenal people within your organization and your team and your network around you. One of the questions that comes up a lot, okay, when it comes to teams specifically, is who do you want on it?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Right?
You got a good flow, Cody. I like it.
Bro.
Yeah. I think that's important. You have to pick the right team. It's like if I'm selecting, it's like an NFL, NBA draft.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball draft. You got to find the right players. Okay, first of all, you got to be the right leader. We talked about being the right leader. Now, who do you want on your team?
Yes.
Because you're building a dream team. And not everybody belongs in your team. And I think that's the mistake a lot of these network marketing type organizations, they bring anybody in can breathe. No.
Scary. That's scary.
No. You have the right kind of people. So I have like a 6 pointers. My number one, they got to be competitive. So when I do the interview process, I want to find out, what they're competitive at. Could be sports, it could be music, could be dance, whatever that is.
Yep.
But I want to make sure they're competitive. They like to win. Their previous successful track record will dictate what they're going to do in the future.
Yeah.
So I look at what they did in the last 4 or 5 years. The guy hasn't been successful in the last 4 or 5 years. His next 4 or 5 years is going to look like the last 4 or 5 years. I want that guy that's won, producer of the week, producer of the month, or he was I don't care if it's in insurance or not, but where he worked, employee of the month, whatever that is, he was competitive at his last career. And if it was in college, was he competitive in college at something? I want that man or woman that's out there loves to compete, and they got to be coachable. There's nothing worse than having a guy that knows everything. I get people that are like that with me. I'm like, dude, I can tell you right now, I guarantee my net worth's way higher than yours. Now, whose net worth's higher is who you should listen to.
That's right.
So a lot of people have trouble humbling themselves. I'm like, listen, let's put all that aside. We're not here to play who's the boss. I'm here to help you achieve your goal. Okay, that's great. You've accomplished this and that and that, but you're calling wanting to talk to me for a reason. Let me help you get there.
Correct.
Okay, so you got to be coachable. I say number 3, they got to be financially stable, especially in the insurance business, because you don't want people out there selling for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
You should be in sales to change that client's life, to sit in front of you, across that table, or on the phone with you, either to change their life, get them better benefits, and protect their assets. That's what it's about. Correct. If you're making sales because you got mortgage due next week, or you got child support due, that's one thing. I'll ask them questions about that and see how their financial stability is, because I know they're going to be the wrong kind of agent if they're upside down financially. They got to have a good attitude. We talked about that earlier.
Yes. You can pick that up pretty quick too.
Yeah, I mean, 5-10 minutes on a call. If he's moaning and complaining about his last FMO and about the leads suck, if that's a knockout question. Please note this: if they say, "I say what happened to last?" Oh, the leads suck. I'm gonna tell you right now. Guess what? He's probably the one that sucks. Because I have a philosophy, and it's online, and people joke about it. But the lead is only as good as the man or woman holding that lead. If he's got great leads, that tells me he's great. If he has leads that stink, that tells me exactly who he is, because I've never had a bad lead.
Amen.
Only bad lead is no lead. Find a way to make it happen.
That's right.
If that person's died already, talk to the spouse, talk to the kids. If they're not home, go to the next door neighbor's house. We used to do the T method.
Yes.
Go to the door to the right, door to the left, next door, across the street. Find a way to make something. It's a place to go.
Good.
So they got to have a good attitude, especially when it relates to leads. And they got to have a strong work ethic.
Yes.
Okay. If they're not willing, and you could tell in the interview, if I got to be off by 3:00 and I want to start my day by
How many holidays do I get?
How many holidays I get off? I got to take a vacation before I get started. You got to have the work ethic. So you need to know what kind of work ethic. And I'm going to tell you this, no one's going to make it in this business unless they're working 50, 60 hours a week. And I tell them that up front. If you're not willing to put in 60 hours a week doing what we're doing, you're not going to make it. You have 168 hours. So you have plenty of time for your family, work out and eat and sleep. But I've never met a 6, 7, 8, and I know 9 and 10 figure guys in this business that are working less than 60 hours.
Yeah.
Most of my top players, I can name like Patrick Bet David, and we talked about Hubert Humphreys. Hubert Humphreys is in his 80s and still working 70, 80 hours a week.
Unbelievable.
I mean, it's who he is. See,
Incredible,
it's not work to us. I don't consider this work.
Correct.
You know,
love it.
It's like I enjoy what I do. I love that. I love the grind. I love helping people. It's who I am. And I think the 6th one, and we talked about it earlier, they got to have integrity.
Yeah.
Okay, because all the other pointers don't matter. And so what I do, and I'm going to give you a tip for your guys, I look them up while I'm talking to them. I have either my phone, you can have your laptop out. I Google the guy I'm talking to make sure there's other things we can talk about. That tells you some things. If things show up good, that's great, but things that don't. But if something doesn't show up at all, that's questionable. You got nothing about you online.
Yep.
And think about it. I tell this to salespeople now. You need to have an online presence because your customers now, whether they're 25-year-old customers or 90-year-old customers, now know how to Google.
Yes, they do.
Everybody's Googling
Oh my
you.
gosh!
So make sure your Google search looks good.
That's right. That's right. You're right about that, man. Yeah, it's crazy how many people immediately they go look somebody up online. Like I do it. Somebody was asked me yesterday, like, "Hey, do you know this person?" I'm like, "I don't know. Let's go find out." Right? Immediately start Googling.
Yep.
Yeah, super powerful. So that's who you want.
Yes. Well, and one last point.
Please.
When you're recruiting for your teams, make sure, and I learned this from the great Art Williams. Art Williams, old Primerica company.
Incredible
oh my God,
communicator. Oh my
and
gosh.
I've learned a lot from him. I mean, I bought every book he had. The Coach Approach, get that book, The Coach Approach by Art Williams, and also another book he put out, The Art of Recruiting, and awesome stuff. He always said this: you got to recruit the spouse. The spouse locks them in. So when you're interviewing and you're working with someone, you need to find a way to connect with the spouse.
People forget about
whether
that.
it's a phone call. Hey, I used to just say this. Hey, I just want to talk to your wife, or you talk to your husband. Well, why? It's just because we're a family company. I want to make sure I answer his or her questions so they have an understanding what we're going to be doing together. Because this dream is not just about you; it's about her as well.
That's good.
Okay, I want to know what her like, and I want to connect her with my spouse.
Because once you recruit them, they're going and trying to then recruit their spouse and sell their spouse on.
So when that agent has a tough day, or that salesperson has a tough day, he's going to go home to the right kind of person that's going to lift them up, saying, "Honey, don't remember what Mr. Holland said. We got a price to pay." But there's a light at the end of that tunnel. I want to let her know her dream board's now my dream board. She's going to make sure she's going to be my assistant coach to make sure he has a good attitude before he goes to sleep, gets a good meal in him, and gets back up the next day ready to go take on the world. And it's amazing how that works. So that the spouse locks him in. And another point, always sell that dream and sell the crusade. And what I mean by that, don't forget why they came aboard with you to begin with. So when I take a note sheet on everybody that works with me, I want to know his number one goal. Because when you're having a tough day, a tough moment, I want to make sure I remind them, hey, you're here because you want your kids to go to the best colleges. You're here because you want to make sure your wife in 3 years doesn't have to work anymore. You told me that was your primary goal. Let's make sure we stay on point with that. Right. And my crusade, you got to always understand, you got to have a crusade built into growing and building your company. And that crusade could be anything from what I did back in the days that I wanted to make sure that people had the right kind of healthcare coverage. Because a lot of them, at least in my area, didn't have any insurance. I wanted to prevent generational poverty. I wanted to prevent people from going to the hospital and being on original Medicare and not having the money to take care of the cost of that hospital visit. Or when I did life insurance sales, make sure they didn't die with the wrong kind of coverage. You can believe how many people back in the day had accident insurance and didn't know what the difference between accident insurance and life insurance was. So I think you got to always have that crusade. And you need to remind your people that at the end of each one of my meetings, I remind them of why we're in this business. I don't know who I learned that from, but it's been years I've been doing this. When you go on my podcast or when you go on my meetings at the end, it's a simple phrase. We're here to change and save people's lives by providing them better benefits, saving them money, and protecting their assets. I'm reminding my people of that crusade.
That's good. It's a constant crusade, too. Yeah.
So you asked a question about who do you not want on your team?
Yeah, because everybody always talks about who you want, but nobody ever says who do you not want. Because everybody does always talk about who do I want, who am I looking for, who do you want to recruit, what do you look for, et cetera. But nobody ever says here's what to look out for. Yes.
So I say the number one, we got to watch out for negative people. I mean, you can't have negative people in your team. You can tell them 5-10 minutes are negative. They just had that vibe. They had that aura. Yeah. See, sales, like I said, is a transfer of enthusiasm. How are you going to go into someone's house and you have that persona, that vibe? That's right. No wonder you're not successful. I wouldn't want to do business with you. No wonder the leads suck. No wonder your leads suck. You're putting out this vibe. Correct. And make sure your people note this. Whatever vibe you possess, your client will adapt that vibe.
Yes.
So when you go in that house, it's more than just the words you use.
That's big.
Body language you use, but the vibe you possess. So if you're down and you're negative and you're bitter and you're angry because the last sale or the last deal didn't work out, you're taking that negative vibe and energy into the next house. So you got to make sure they can't have negative people on your team. You can't have people that are lazy. The lazies. I know that's not a real word, but I call them lazies. They're just lazy people. Yeah. The narcissistic. We talked about that earlier. I'm going to tell you, narcissistic people out there, they can be great salespeople, but long term, they're going to be working against you. Sooner or later, they're going to be your top performer, but sooner or later, they're going to tear the organization down because it's always about them. Narcissists build themselves up by tearing other people down. So be careful of narcissists and brokies. These are people that are broke. If they ask you for money to pay their AHIP, or I got to pay my continual ed, can you loan me the money? Or can I have $50 to put my gas tank? Please, you don't have time to save brokies' lives. I don't want to work with that guy. And I used to back in the days because I'm going to tell you, every time you loan him money, 2 weeks later, he's going to come back for more. Those people need to learn how to be independent. say they've been brainwashed by our corrupt society to lean on somebody else. To me, the only person you need to be leaning on is first and foremost God. And then they need to be a man and a woman of their own means and not be waiting for a handout from the government or from some friend to bail them out. So I don't want brokies or addicts, drug addicts, alcoholics. You just can't have those kind of people on your team. People with compliance issues. If they constantly have compliance, one mistake I understand, but you have 4 or 5 compliance issues, that's a problem. People that are angry. If they're cursing in my interview, that's a no. They're angry about their last GA or MGA that did them wrong. I don't want angry people because that's an energy. I want the spirit I don't want. And guys that are constant murmurers and complainers. Do you know? I know I'm getting off topic on this, but I used the Bible a lot for a lot of my business and leadership principles. Do you know that the sin of the Israelites when they were trying to get out of Egypt and trying to find the promised land, they did a lot of things wrong. But the main reason why they never saw, the original ones didn't see the promised land, their children, grandchildren did, is because their biggest sin was murmuring and complaining. Murmuring and complaining. That was why they never saw the promised land.
Wow.
Not for all the other garbage they were doing. Reason why God said, nope, trip's canceled. Y'all going to die in the wilderness. Even Moses didn't go because he tolerated that murmuring, complaining. So, that's just something I want to make sure your audience understands. Don't deal with complainers. And by the way, my last phrase, because I know you got a couple more questions. Life, put your shoe notes. Life is too short to work with jerks. Don't work with jerks.
Amen.
Whether it's a customer, it's a jerk. Sometimes it's best to say goodbye to a bad client. So you know what, Miss John, I did everything I could do. Here's a number of my competitor. He's perfect for you. Give him a call. Because sometimes you just can't work with certain kinds of people. Life's too short to work with jerks.
Correct. Here's my number, my competitor. That's freaking funny. That's hilarious. How can you tell someone is lazy when maybe you're meeting with them? Maybe they haven't started selling yet, and you're just like getting to know them.
I say, tell me about your work ethic. Tell me what you did. Tell me your daily schedule. You said the lead sucked. Okay, tell me what you did. Let me hear your script. I don't tell me right now if he doesn't have a script. Doesn't know. Tell me what you say when someone says I got to think about it. Tell me what you say when someone I got to talk to my daughter or my son. Correct. I give them objections. If you don't know them, I'm like, dude,
you're
I
not
can tell
serious.
right now you haven't worked at this. You don't. Or tell me what time you start.
That's a big takeaway for the audience right there.
What's that?
Just the literally not being prepared.
Yeah.
Don't have a response. Don't know what to say.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. Or I say, tell me what would you do at 7 o'clock? Would you do at 8? Would you do at 9? I go through a day. I go through 12 hours a day. So you really only work 2-3 hours today. It tells me he's lazy.
Yes.
Dude, when I was an agent, I'm gonna tell you, Cody, you're a great salesperson. And many of you guys, you couldn't compete. There's no way. I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to start early. If I find out you're working at 7, I'm working at 6. If I find out you're working at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm up at 5 working.
Yeah.
I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to have more. I used to have more appointments. Remember that old Army commercial? We do more before 9 o'clock every day than most people do all day.
Yeah.
I said I want to be able to have more sales and more work done before noon than anybody else in the industry.
That's right.
Because that was my work time. I wanted to make sure I got my 8, 9, 10 sales done before noon, and the rest of the day was gravy time. Because you're not going to beat me. I'm going to outwork you.
That's strong.
So I think that's a good point. Ask questions.
Yes.
I think when you're in an interview, you got to ask questions. The more questions you ask, people ultimately, Cody, end up telling them themselves.
They do. They do. Instead of that's a big nugget too for leaders that are recruiting is instead of just talking so much and telling everything about your organization, let them talk, man.
Ask a lot of questions.
Yeah. That's
good.
Because
see, you're investing not just money into people. You invest your time, your energy, your love. And I don't want to invest my time, energy, and love in the wrong kind of people.
Yes.
It's almost like, when you were dating, when you're single, it's like, do you really want to date the wrong kind of person, spend months or years possibly with the wrong person? Yeah. That's why it's important to ask those questions, those critical questions up front. You don't want to date a girl and you're dating for 3 years, find out, I never really wanted to have children. It'd been nice to know that before, before you started dating,
Correct.
Or the religion. I say that's not the right religion for you. Find out months later, that's not going to work. Okay, you should have asked that up front.
Exactly.
So I think asking good questions up front, anybody you bring in your organization is critical.
That's good. You also talk about, I think I remember this in Philly, you talk about when you spoke at one of our events, you always talk about, we talk about building an empire, but it was about having a plan.
Yes.
what would you say to someone that's like, okay, I would like to build an empire, but I don't have a plan? How do they form? Like, what should their plan look like?
Okay. So I think they have to have an ideal. I mean, you got to have an end goal. What's that end goal look like? So first of all, you need to know, do I want to have 50 agents, 100 agents, 1,000 agents? What does that look like? And then you got to work backwards. So, I always had my goal in mind here. Okay, and I'm going to work backwards. Okay, so if I want to win a championship at the end of the season, I got to work backwards. What do I got to do? So I go backwards and what I need to do to get to that goal. So my plan is first for that person, what's your goal? You got to have it and put it in front of you. So what I did is I got a big picture. I said I wanted to work with thousands of agents, so I got a big picture. And it was actually from a Zig Ziglar conference. Remember Zig Ziglar? So I cut out a picture.
Amazing.
And it had Zig Ziglar's head on it, his body and head. I just cut a little picture of myself, put my head on Zig Ziglar. I said, I want to be able to speak in front of an audience.
That's right.
That's how many people I want to have on my team.
That's
so
awesome.
you want to build wide, okay? You want to build wide. So I had, like I told you, 70 agencies wide. Then you want to build deep. So what I do now, I've condensed that now because I've rolled people under and moved on from the wrong kind of people. But typically you want to build with 10 to 12 guys wide, and then go deep with them. You want to help them build. Okay, you want to help them build.
It's like the disciples.
Exactly. Excuse me.
It's like the disciples.
Exactly.
Right?
12 disciples. Then help
yeah.
them build, and make sure you build responsibly. I saw one of my team members I brought in, amazing guy. This guy has got it together, but he didn't scale responsibly. I had to let him do what he wanted to do because I kept telling him, don't do that. I'm telling you, because I've made that mistake.
Correct.
I got 30 years on you guys. Okay, why are you going to go left when I tell you to go right? I'm here to help you. Okay, you want to go left? Go ahead. So he went left the wrong way, and he got every single contract possible out there in this marketplace. He became a kind of a jack of all trade and a master of nothing. So you got to scale responsibly. If you go back to the old Art Williams days, he had one product and one company and made billions of dollars.
Correct.
So my first companies, I had maybe one company, maybe two. That was it. My original success in the life industry, and I built some of the biggest. I built with one company. Okay, I scaled responsibly. When I first started in the Medicare business, I didn't go contract with 8, 9 different. I had one company. I had one company. I wanted to be the master. I found the best one in my market, and I built there. Then I diversified.
Yeah.
Some people diversify first. No, you got to have your core first. You don't need to be a jack of all of it. Master 2 or 3, vehicles, 2 or 3 companies.
Correct.
And don't try to do everything. Scale responsibly and keep it simple. I believe in the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. I know you millennials call it keep it super simple.
Yeah, there you go.
That's PC.
Let's go. I didn't know that. That's good.
I learned it from Mike Kaplan on my team. I didn't know that, so I'll make sure I include that in my podcast with Cody. So yeah. And you want to create a leadership factory. I think that's always important. They're not here to work for you. Everybody, if you're building an agency of insurance brokers, agents, financial advisors, you need to be plugging that dream of them owning their own agency. That was something I always reminded them. You're going to have your own agency one day because they think they're working for you. Sooner or later, they won't be. You're working for yourself. You're here. You might be an agency of one, but you're the CEO right now of that agency, okay? I let them know right now you're going to have an LLC, you're going to have an S-Corp set up, you're going to have your own branding, we're going to have logos. You might be an agency of one, but you're the CEO, and I want you to act like a CEO of that agency. I'm building a leadership factory and build companies. I tell people, build companies within the company. So those 70 wide I had, they had agencies under them, and they had agencies under them. That's how you want to do it, okay? And then you want to make sure, you got to make sure you do this. You need to make sure they're building their own company within the company with your love, your coaching, and your support. They need to know that. So you're like the GM of them running their own NFL team. You're the GM. Right. You're there to help them win their championship.
I always wanted to be a GM. That's good. I love that. I like how you always relate stuff to sports too. Like, I'm a big sports guy, so I think that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's
my
cool.
Spirituality in sports. That's usually what I related to.
Yeah. Yes. I think that's why we get along so much. Yeah, same. I think that's good. So we talk about the plan, right? Now, a lot of people when they build that, there's one word that comes up a lot, and that is system.
Yes.
Right, and systems in place.
Dude, you got good questions, man.
Thanks, bro.
You came prepared. Good
I
job,
try to be
man.
prepared.
I love it. I'm proud
That's
of you.
right.
No, I think the system has to come down. Number one, you got to have a recruiting system first and foremost.
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of people you want on your team? We talked about that, but you got to be recruiting. Recruiting has got to be the number one priority in your organization. Whether you're doing LOAs, whether you're doing broker agents, whether you're doing call center agents, you have to have recruiting as a priority. Even though you think you got enough, the moment you think you got enough when you're going out of business, because I'm going to tell you why. It tells your people you can move on with or without them, because you're going to have a narcissist come out of the group.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. They're going to think, all right, Tony's needs us more than we need him. Let's go run down the road, because you never know when that may happen. I've had it happen to me in my career. Like lose an entire agency because you got lax in your recruiting. You want to always be recruiting. Always be recruiting. Always be looking for good people. You never know that waiter's going to be your next superstar. The top guy that got me into Medicare, when he was one of my top agents, I recruited him. He was a chef, lost his restaurant years back, got into insurance. He's the one that introduced me to Medicare Advantage, and boom, took off. I didn't even know what it was.
Wow.
I trained him on life. He couldn't do life insurance because he lost a family member, and his brother died, because I just can't talk about death anymore. We were selling final expense together. So he went and started selling living benefits, Medicare benefits. He was the number one agent there his first year. The CEO calls him, who taught you how to sell like this? He said, this guy named Tony Holland. Can I meet him? That's how I got my Bravo deal.
Wow.
That was my first Medicare deal. It was the number one agent there, and this goes back to 2008. He calls me up and says the CEO wants to meet you. He's telling me what a Quimby was. I didn't even know what it was. Quimby and a Slimby, I thought it was a rap group in Detroit. What's CMS? I thought it was a crime show. Sometimes they can act like a crime show. Anyway.
Yeah, sometimes.
But look at what I did for him. Trained him to be the best final expense agent. He went through a life crisis, just couldn't talk about death no more. Took those same skill sets, applied it to Medicare Advantage, and then did so well there. The CEO wanted to know who trained him how to do that, and I got the FMO deal just like that without even knowing what that was about.
Wow.
And so that's why it's important to recruit good people from all industries. He was a chef.
Yes.
So I look for people from all walks of life, that long as they have those key bullet points. And then I say number two, that's most important, you got to be a master of sales. You got to go to your academy. You do an academy and training. Yeah. I went to Brian Tracy, Tom Hopkins, Zig Ziglar. Right now I do a lot of stuff with Coach Burt. We've done a lot of work with you.
Yes.
I'm always getting our guys to understand sales is an art form. Just like recruiting's an art form, so is sales.
Yeah,
so you got to make sure you not only your people master the art of selling, you're mastering the art of selling. You got to know how to choice close. You got to know how to yes close. You got to know how to do the oblique comparison close. You got to be a master of the art of sales and negotiation. I think the third big tip I give people, you got to also know how to grassroots market. Okay, and what I mean by grassroots, you got to be more than just leads. I grassroots market just so I can be in the community. I want the community to know I'm making a difference. Tony Holland's more than just making money. I've done charitable work. You wouldn't believe how many newspaper articles got me recognition. That's one of the points that you should tell your team. Be out there in the community doing other things. It gives you free advertisement. It also gives you credibility in the community, credibility amongst your people that Tony Holland's more than just making money. So I used to sponsor Christmas, still do, Christmas for battered women's shelters, children's hospitals, things like that, to get in the newspaper to show the good that Global and Tony's doing, to try to give back to the community. Not for my glory, but just to say, hey, we're trying to make a difference. Let's do this together. Let's do it as a community. So be in the community and do a lot of grassroots marketing. So I do a lot of church work, VFW work, work with bingo halls, physicians groups. Anywhere where I can be in that community, grassroots marketing is key. Number 4, you got to also cross-sell, okay? Once you got yourself established, especially in the Medicare world now, you better have more than one product. You got to have what complements Medicare Advantage. You got to have hospital indemnity. You have to have cancer and heart plan, okay? You have to have ancillary benefits. You got to also include final expense or possibly pre-need. So you got to master art of cross-selling. And then also another bullet point, you got to have multiple sales distribution channels, okay? So once you get it started establishing, building your empire, now you need to have, I have like a call center. I had a field team. I had a part-time team. I had a full-time team, okay? I had full-timers.
Yeah.
I had LOAs at one time. But you need to make sure you have multiple distribution channels. People that are doing group sales. You need guys that maybe do only final expense in life, only annuities. So then when you're established and building, then you start having multiple distribution channels.
That's good.
Because that'll lead to that future acquisition. I'm sure you're going to ask me about that soon.
Yes, exactly. Which a lot of people are interested in, for sure. One of the things that we talk a lot about too, and I think it feeds the system. We talked about the system, we talked about the plan. Something that feeds the system that I have noticed that our team has gotten a lot better at over the last couple of years, and I see you do a lot of, is the power of testimonials and social proof.
Yes. I
Getting
learned
other people to tell the story.
Yes, it's called the power of edification.
Yes,
and I learned that by going to those old network marketing meetings. I never did well at those, but I thought it was so cool, and I adapted a lot of those things. And I go back to when back in the '90s, there was a company called ACN. It was called American Communication Network. It was a network marketing, communications company where you got your cell phone or your phone service, your pager done through them, and what sold you on it is what a lot of these network marketing companies, whether it's Amway or whatever the name of the company you want to mention, they give you a testimonial video. And back then we had the big old cassettes, the VHS cassettes. You plop it in, and they always had 10, 12 people that came from nothing and made millions on that video. So I think you had to have a really good testimonial video. And I tell guys, have a testimonial video with your clients as well as your agents.
Yeah.
So you should have so that way you're building both. And you need to teach your agents to have their own testimonial videos. You wouldn't believe how many agents we have on our team that do that. And when they got a client that's like, I don't know if I really want to do this, no problem. Don't take my word for it. Here's 4 of my clients right here. Make a testimonial video, 30 seconds of each one. You can play that in 90 seconds. Here's what Miss Roberta says. Here's what Dave says. And make sure it's an eclectic group. You want to have people from all walks of life. Someone that's Latino, someone's male, female, African American, Caucasian American. You want to make sure you have someone so they go, wow, they can relate to someone on that video. If you notice all my testimonial videos, I have someone from all walks of life. Asian American, they're on there. African American, they're on there. Caucasian American, they're on there. Latino American, they're on there. So that way, that person, they can relate with that. So I think I'm going to tell you that one testimonial video that I have that people say that's the cruise ship video. That one's made me more money. It's made me millions and millions and millions of dollars. Because it helped me, one, attract the right kind of people, but that was also the video I was tagging when I was going through the acquisition process. I made sure every one of those CEOs and their finance people had a copy of that video.
Crazy.
Because Cody, we can say about ourselves everything in the world.
Correct.
People are going to doubt that. But when they see other people say Global's great, Tony's great, Cody's great, 8% Nation's great, that's what you want. So when your guys are building their teams and their organizations, they want, I don't care if you have an agency of 5 guys, you need to set all 5 of those guys down and do a video. You do these services for people, right?
Yes.
They can come to your studio, or they can do a studio session in their own town.
Sure.
Get them the film. You can just pick up your phone.
You can
speak for 2 minutes. Get someone to edit it for you and put it out there to the world. That will help you recruit people by the thousands. I'm telling you, you have to have a recruiting testimonial in it, and I call it mine in their own words. ... Boom, pop that sucker on, and you wouldn't believe how many people call me now from that old video. It's still up there on YouTube.
Crazy.
I made that sucker years ago, and it's still working today.
Yeah. Yeah, talk about something that just continues to work for you too. Yeah,
but don't forget, your team needs to make sure people that are on their team need to have. So if your agent is just starting and makes his first 10 sales, at the end of each one, say, Miss Johnson, did I do a good job for you today? Yes, you did. Guess what? Can we do a little selfie video real quick, and then do it together? Hey, I'm meeting with Miss Betty Jones. Hey, Miss Betty Jones, how'd you feel about the opportunity I did with you today with your Medicare or with your life insurance or whatever the product is? And let her say a few good words. Mr. Holland was so nice. He was sweet. He brought me a cup of coffee and he gave me a book. And I mean, I really love this plan he set up with me, and it's been the best thing for me. I thank the Lord Jesus I met him today. That's all you want him to say.
That's right.
Boom. Thank you, Miss Johnson.
That's
and you perfect. Do that. What's that take? How long did it take me to say that?
15 seconds.
15 seconds. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And then when you get into a situation with a client, they're like, I don't know, let me think about it. Well, I'm going to tell you some people that wanted to think about it just like you. Let me let you see what they had to say and play your little video.
That's right.
of 5 or 6 of your favorite clients.
Smart. It's powerful.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I
powerful.
had an agent did that. He was one of our top agents, and he did over 650 enrollments his first year with us for AEP. And he would do that. And one of his favorite ones is birthday cakes. He would bring out a birthday cake for the client and video that he celebrates the birthday for all his clients and kills it every AEP.
Wow.
He shows, and this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm not going to be your Medicare man. And that's another thing. I always tell agents, make sure that you're in their phone as the Medicare man or their insurance man or woman, the Medicare lady. That way, when they think of Medicare, think of insurance, they think of you. But I'm also going to be there on your birthday. I'm going to be there for your family, and you want to be able to show that. Those videos are powerful.
Yeah, they are.
Testimony videos are powerful for agents as well as agency builders.
Crazy powerful. We've definitely seen that. There's a couple other things I want to get to at some point. I want to talk about social media and branding at some point, eventually acquisitions.
Sure.
But I think there's something else that I am missing. What else am I missing that we want to mention?
Establishing your empire.
Yeah, let's do that.
I think that's important because you wouldn't believe, Cody. I get guys call me. I had 150 calls this year of so-called potential partners that wanted to do an acquisition. 150.
Wow.
So, and I'd say 90% of them didn't have these certain key elements together. They didn't have their you-know-what together.
This is a big question.
Yeah, and I was kind of embarrassed for them. I'm like, I do this when I go on road shows. I do my thing.
Yeah.
Not as big as 8% Nation yet. One day you should have me on 8% Nation.
Let's go. We should, man.
I'll be one of your headline guys if you want. But
Amen.
I do a little quick video of Shark Tank.
Yes.
You heard of Shark Tank? You like Shark Tank?
That's
I
good.
love Shark Tank. You get so much out of Shark Tank. I tell guys, if you're not watching Shark Tank, you should watch it.
Yes.
If you're going to watch TV, at least watch Shark Tank. There's so many good ideas. And I asked the audience, after I played a quick promo video of Shark Tank, how many of you guys heard of it? You all raise your hand. All right. Everyone's going on Shark Tank tonight. You got a couple hours to prepare. Are you ready? And most of them aren't ready.
No.
They don't have a logo. How do you not have a logo? You don't have an LLC, an S corporation set up. You don't have an attorney in place, a CPA in place. Who runs a business like that? You don't have a business plan? You don't have a line of credit? They don't have a FIN number. They don't have you wouldn't believe how many of those guys that call me and young ladies have called me don't even have a professional website. How do you not have a website?
Most don't.
It's 2024. It's almost 2025.
Correct.
You don't have a website? How do you not have a website? And you're calling me about doing a 7-8 figure deal potentially with us. Come on. You don't have a website? Well, I'm getting there. No, you're not getting there. Okay, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have a website domain? I mean, you can go to GoDaddy, for maybe 50, 80, 100, $200 depending, $300. I don't know what it costs now.
$12 a year.
$12 a year. Set up a domain name.
Yeah.
You don't have a DUNS number. You have a line of credit. I mean, you're going to go through a crisis. You got to have a line of credit. You got to have a business bank account. You wouldn't believe how many guys I talk to don't have a business bank account.
Just all going in their personal.
Yeah, are you kidding me?
Crazy.
You're making 6 figures. You know the IRS loves you. They love 6-figure guys that have their money going to their personal account.
I'm just paying on taxes on all of it.
You're just you're gambling with your future, and they're going to hunt you down sooner or later. They're going to get you. So you got to keep your money separate. So you have the business account, you have the credit card account. You need to become a member of the Chamber of Commerce. I always tell people, make sure you're with the Better Business Bureau. $350 you pay. You get an A+ rating. As long as you handle your complaints within 48 hours, you keep the A+ rating. Those little things are important. You need to maximize resources to build your empire. If you want to talk about that, we can do that.
Yes.
I mean, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I would love that.
Okay, so
I would love that.
Here's some things. I'm just telling you what I did.
Okay.
This is what I did. You guys, I always tell this take what you want and leave the rest.
Sure.
What I do may not be for everybody that's listening, but I'm going to tell you, maximize resources to build your empire. Number one, I made sure when I was building my companies, my agencies, I worked with that carrier like we were true partners. It's us together.
Yep.
So when it was Bravo or a life company I was building, HealthSpring, I made sure I maximized those co-op marketing support. That's number one. I was on a first name basis from the top down. Every CEO of every company I work with knows me on a personal level. I don't care how we're going to connect, we're going to connect.
Yeah.
Even if it's just I just new company, Johns Hopkins, that I'm doing work with in Baltimore. It took me a while to get the contract set up. The COO couldn't understand why I wanted to meet him. I said, this is how I do business. It's a partnership. You're the top guy. You and I are going to talk. Okay. It was a 15-minute conversation, but he says, I appreciate that. I've never had anybody want to do that. I said, that's why I'm different. This is a partnership. You need me and I need you. We're doing this together. Okay. So make sure you maximize that. Make sure you maximize the local, state, and federal grants. Okay.
I heard you talk about this before. Yeah. This is
and there's
super
subsidies
intriguing.
out there. Get this, Cody. My first call center that I developed, I got $900,000 from the state of Maryland, Baltimore County, state of Maryland, to develop the call center.
Shut
long as
up.
I promised to provide at least 50 jobs that first year. $900,000 they gave me. Wow. And all I had to do was put up $100,000. So it was $1 million deal. I had to put in my own cash for $100,000. They put up $900,000 subsidy grant.
Where can I sign that?
Is that awesome or what?
I'm in.
I was like, can I get some more? They're like, 100's what we're going to do. You come up with 100, we'll come up with 900. They want to do $1 million deal.
Dang.
Isn't that awesome?
That's awesome.
I got opportunities out there with the new companies I'm working with now that we picked up $5 million in a subsidy from that state. It's amazing the money that's out there. There's what's called seed funding. Have you guys do state seed funding in your local area.
Okay.
Seed funding. There's grant writers out there. There's money out there for people of color, women. There's so many opportunities out there for funding your business. I know a lady in our organization, you know her, Diane. She was completely subsidized by the state of Oregon.
Wow.
Her EBITDA was like 180% year over year. It's like average. I'm like, no wonder she's being subsidized by the state.
Correct.
Why not? I mean, there's workforce development grants. That's what I got the $900,000 for. So guys have to research that. And I'm gonna tell you this: one of the richest men in the world. He's either 1, 2, or 3. Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Do you know he was subsidized by the federal government in the state of California? Get this, he got $465 million to get Tesla started from the state of California. Do you know he's gotten over $9 billion of regulatory credits from the federal and state government since 2018?
Jeez.
Why not use these resources? They're there.
That's crazy.
So in my meetings, what I do, I give people kind of a checkoff list of how you go about it. Your guys can always call me. I'll give my information number out. They can call me anytime, 443-253-3634. You know I'm very accessible as you are.
Yeah.
I have no problem calling. Can I have that list? It's a little checkoff list of where you can go to get this funding. It's out there. It is out there.
That's wild. That's crazy. That's something that specifically that has never been. There's a bunch that like you're dropping insane amount of nuggets. That specifically has never been talked about on this podcast.
Well, think about it. These politicians need us to create what? To create what? Jobs.
Correct.
Tax revenue.
Yeah.
That's all I had to do when I got my $900,000. I was going to create jobs. I was going to train people that were on long-term unemployment, a new trade, which was Medicare and insurance. I had to get them licensed, get them certified, get them everything done, train them, give them a place to work. They gave me $900,000 to do that.
Unbelievable.
And they've called me many times, you want to do it again. And like, right now I'm at a different level, as you know, with, some of the things that I'm doing. And, but those are out there for everybody. And it's more opportunity now than ever, especially during an election year. Whoever's in the administration wants to stay in. If they can show in the jobs report that they've created more jobs, hey, that's what they need. They need you to do that. So and that's local politicians. State politicians and federal politicians need you to help create job growth.
Yeah,
how do you get that? Through grants, subsidies, and other opportunities. Seed funding, it's out there. Look what Elon got. Come on.
That's wild.
I think I could build a pretty decent company if I got $465 million.
Or $9 billion in credits over 6 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I think so too.
So you're right. That's probably the biggest mistake, and I hope when you guys put this together, that's probably one of the biggest mistakes to see people building the empire. They're not tapping the local government for funding. Some of them it's pride. A lot of it's just ignorance. They just don't know that they don't know.
Yeah, I think it's probably more ignorance. There's definitely some pride too. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's probably more ignorance and just unaware.
And I didn't know any better. I found that out through my HR lady that was on my team. Gloria was like, Tony, there's an opportunity out there. She had a friend that worked over there. They coached me up on what I need to do. I'm like, what do I got to do to apply? I got my bank involved.
Sick.
M&T Bank got involved with me. I had to provide certain statements, and I had to give them a game plan in terms of how I was going to train the people, what they were going to learn, the certifications. There was a process. They didn't just say, "Here's $900,000, go get him, Johnny."
Sure.
I had to provide documentation. They came to do a site visit.
Oh, I'm sure.
But get this, they interviewed all the people for me. So I gave them my criteria, what I was looking for. They did all the interviews for me and gave them people to me so I can interview them.
Shut up.
Exactly. I didn't have to. The first interviews, they did them. If they didn't measure up, they already didn't have them presented to me. Wow. So, and then I had the final say if they came aboard or not. And they gave that to me in a monthly stipend every single month for that first year of building my call center.
That's incredible.
Isn't that awesome?
Jeez Louise. Okay, there's two things. This has been unbelievable. There's two things I still want to cover. One is social media and branding, and then the last is acquisitions.
Okay.
Let's jump to social and branding because this has been unreal.
I think social media is something I was scared of, to be honest with you.
I love that you're honest.
I was scared
about
of
that.
it.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
I didn't
true
want
for
to
most
touch it.
people.
I didn't want to deal with it. I saw the garbage, whether it's Kardashian girls or, some knucklehead on there. I'm like, who wants to be in that world? It's like a cesspool of garbage in my mind.
Sure.
TikTok and, Facebook. I didn't want to be on it. I wasn't on it. All my friends were like, why aren't you on Facebook? Because I don't have time for that garbage. If you want to get in touch with me, call me. I don't need you to know where I'm going on vacation and all that stuff. It was like I almost felt like people were just touting their stuff and their success and all that, and guys that are using it for their planes and their boats, and I don't want to see all that. I got work to do. Correct. But I realize it's almost like a necessary tool now. You got to have it. It's it's like our smartphone. Who doesn't have a smartphone? You better have a smartphone or you're going out of business.
Correct.
You better be on social media or you're going out of business. And I found that out real quick that I had to be on. So I went reluctantly, and it's changed my business and changed my whole career now. And what really motivated me to do it, because I said so many times.
You're very active on it too now.
But I wasn't.
Kaplan and your team and everybody else, like you guys are very, very active and very intentional about it.
I do it now. I mean, and I got away from showing the lifestyle. I mean, I did that because my team back then said do that. Matter of fact, my video with integrity was about me knocking on the streets of Baltimore. That's cool. I didn't want to be on the plane. I didn't want to be on the boat or show the mansions. And I mean, I got nice toys, nice house. I mean, people have come to my house and they're blown away. I grew up in a 1,100 square foot townhouse and live in a palace now. I thank God for that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to show people I was a real guy, that I'd knocked on doors just like them. Correct. I didn't forget where I came from. I was a Johns Hopkins graduate. I studied medicine. I was a pre-med student. And to go from that to selling insurance, you wouldn't believe how many people thought I was crazy. Because I don't think anybody goes to school and wants to be an insurance salesperson. I know you probably didn't. I didn't grow up saying, I want to be an insurance salesperson. We kind of fall into it. But it was my calling. And I realized throughout my life there's a calling, and my story resonated. Tony, how many people? I was living out of a van at the time. I failed on Wall Street because I thought I was going to be the Greco guy in the movie Wall Street, making a power deals.
Yeah.
And
I love those movies too.
And a true story. I lasted 9 months, and then I failed miserably at it. I found out why they're called stockbrokers. I ended up broke. So I ended up living out of that van. That was no regular van. It had shag carpet. It had paneling in it, and I struggled through life. And what turned me around was I got a hold of, I was late at night in my uncle's basement because it got so cold. I couldn't stay in the van. He said, I'll let you stay in the basement until it gets warm. And I watched an infomercial with Tony Robbins. And I bought the Tony Robbins on borrowed money, his cassette series. Wow. And it was like 30 Days to Change Your Life, the Unlimited Power series. Changed my life. And it got me out of that van, got me into insurance, and boom, the rest is history.
That's awesome.
I actually done some work with Tony, and I'm one of his top all-time students from back in the day. And that was 1994. I got on the Tony Robbins tip.
That's incredible.
So leading to the social media question, people said people need to know that story. Tony, you got done these things. There's a man or woman out there that needs to hear that, and you're holding it, you're hoarding it. So someone kind of gave me a lecture, on that. And he said, listen, dude, you got something to share. You have a duty and a right to share it with other people out there. Yes. And that's what turned me around to get on social media. So I'm big on Facebook. I'm big on now YouTube. It all started with YouTube and Facebook. Then I got on the Instagram, doing a lot of work now, getting into TikTok. Anywhere that I can have the brand out there, doing a lot of branding.
Correct.
A lot of branding.
That's right. Right as we're doing some branding right now.
Doing some branding right now. Doing some branding.
Social and branding.
Woo, doing some branding. So, yeah, I think it's so important that you have to be on social media. It's like, what if Coca-Cola didn't do TV commercials? I mean, look at the top companies in the world. They're on TV. They're in magazines. Correct. I've been in magazines. I've been in the Baltimore Business Journal. But today's media is old school TV. You have to do it. And it's so cheap to do. You wouldn't believe you can touch millions of people, Cody. I mean, I've had millions and millions of impressions, in 1 year. Yeah. And a show of yourself, right? Through social.
Correct.
There ain't enough money to get 1 million impressions on TV or in newspapers or magazines. I did the old school stuff for years. I was in newspapers, magazines. It can only touch so many people. Social media can touch the world.
Yeah, you can.
With your message. You have a mission. I have a mission.
That's right.
I think that's why you and I, we have kind of a kindred spirit. We have a alignable spirit. Yes, I make a lot of money. I've done very well.
Yes.
Extremely well. And you've done well.
Thanks.
But I do want to pay it forward. And social media helps you do that. If you're not on social media, I know you're scared. I'm talking to your audience. You're scared to do it. You can't be. And, my first big social media move, I had someone before I started working with your company, but you guys really got me off to the biggest start a couple years ago into social media, and really maximizing YouTube. Like, you guys really helped me out big time in the early days. Not giving a plug, but if it is a plug, take it. But you guys were a big part of that YouTube explosion we had about 2 years ago. So thank you for that.
Thank you, man. YouTube is such a powerful piece. Like, we started personally 8.5 years ago on YouTube, and man, I'm end of December of 2015, and I'm so glad we did. Oh my gosh, it's been incredible.
You guys did great for me. And, I think we created like 40 different videos at your old office, and Landon was part of the team back then. I mean, you had a great crew, and I'm very thankful that I did that. You guys helped me with it, and I had to have a leap of faith. And a lot of these guys are afraid to spend the money. I'm like, you got it. It's not spending money; it's an investment.
That's right.
You got to invest in your business and your brand. And when you're going to go through an acquisition, you better have a presence. Because I'm going to tell you, if I'm going to buy your company, that's the first thing I'm going to look for. The M&A guys that are on our team, we're going to look for these things. We're going to look for some cracks or what's good, what's not so good. So you got to make sure you have the right presence online to attract not only the right audience to join your company, the right people to buy your product and service, but also the future acquisition that you're going to go through.
Correct.
All that stuff counts. They're going to look back. What did you do? If you're going to want to do an acquisition, let's say you want to do an acquisition in 2028. Let's say that's you and your wife's target. What you do now matters.
Big time.
I'm going to look back what you're doing right now.
Correct.
What kind of growth has he had? Has he got a presence? Because when you're doing an acquisition, we're buying the company. And there's two different types of deals that are out there, and I want to make sure you guys understand that. We're not just buying books of business. We do that. But if you want a bigger multiple, it's the company.
Correct.
The book of business is part of the company. I get guys calling me, I just want to sell my book. Well, you'll get 2, 3, maybe 4 times valuation. If we're buying a company now you can talk big numbers. So make sure your audience understands that. It's not just a book of business. We're buying a brand.
Correct.
When I'm buying Cody, I'm buying the CA. I want to buy the shirts, the studio, the staff. See, there's more than just, I got a book of business.
Right.
I make 7 figures. What's the brand? What's the logo?
Correct.
What's the social media look like? What do you got going on in the world? Are you impacting the world? What's your mission statement? All that needs to resonate in terms of being on someone's radar. Social media help you be on that radar, all 3 facets, with the clients, with the recruits, as well as with the future acquisition.
That's right. Yep. So, and speaking of the acquisition, because this comes up a lot, there's a lot of people in our industry that either have their dream is to get acquired at some point and exit their business.
Yes.
Or they know someone where that is the case. If they do, or they're interested in that, or they like to talk about how that works, I have seen from with your network and how involved in this side of the world you have become, they need to talk to you.
Yes, absolutely.
They just do.
Yeah. I told you, they can call me, 443-253-3634. That's my cell phone, 443-253-3634. Crazy. Call me or text me. I will get back to you.
Unbelievable.
And I want to be accessible to the right kind of people.
Yeah.
But the thing is, your people have to have the right motivation behind why they want to do it. I had the right kind of motivation. I'm going to tell you. You okay if
please.
My motivation was because I helped some big companies. Some Oak Street, Cold Spring, Cigna, Clover, Bravo, several others out there in the life sector and mostly in the Medicare sector.
Very big.
I helped them either get acquired or I helped them go public. Some people, what do you mean you helped them? Well, I'm the guy that was driving the sales for those numbers to look good.
Correct.
We were in a Wall Street Journal back in 2010, a company called Bravo Health. They mentioned my agency in that article. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
Little grassroots organization out of Baltimore. I'm like, yeah, that's us. We made it. They were doing a killing in business. Well, they got acquired by HealthSpring through the process of the acquisition. Guess how much I got, Cody? Zero. Now, did I make a commission? Yes. Did I make an override? Yes. But then I saw what those executives made. I'm like, you didn't sell one policy. You don't even know what the application even looks like. And you're making hundreds of millions of dollars. I remember helping out Oak Street. I was their first FMO back in Chicago. We made a big name for ourselves in Chicago with HealthSpring and Oak Street. And I was there. I had the exclusive deal for Oak Street and HealthSpring back then. And then when I saw what their exits were, I mean, the CEO of Oak Street Health made $667 million in one day. He was the highest earner in the United States that year behind Elon Musk. And then he took it not only public, then it got acquired by CVS and made even more money. One of the wealthiest men in America. And I sat with him on a table like this when we first started that together. And it's amazing. And what did I get out of that acquisition? Zero.
What did you learn from that? Because you always talk about equity and like the power of that. Like, what did you learn by being involved in all those things that really made you even more involved in this world today?
What I learned that money and an abundance of money, that there's power behind that. It allowed me, and I got to see them do many great things, like Herb Fritch and Bernard Rappaport, some of the great mentors I had back in the day, Jack London. It allowed them to do a lot of great things with that money, whether it's doing charitable work and invest in other pursuits and passion, whether it's business or personal. Yeah. So I got to witness that. But what it did, it triggered me emotionally inside that there's another world that are people playing in that I don't know about.
Amen.
And I always wondered as a kid, I used to watch this show, The Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous.
Yes.
You ever heard of that show?
Yes.
And I used to wonder, how do these people live like that? So my mom, when we were kids, she would get in a Gremlin and drive us down to Potomac, Maryland, and we go down to Bethesda, JVCH, and see these mansions, 20, 30,000 square foot homes. I'm like, what are these people doing? Correct. How are they getting 200-foot yachts? And they're in these kind of deals, equity deals.
Yes.
And that's those equity deals or where the big wealth, stock market can make money, real estate you make money, but the big time money, that unknown world to the common folk, like I once was, is in equity deals.
Yeah.
Getting into a company before it gets acquired, owning stock, getting into a company before it goes public or merges. That's where the money's at.
True.
That's where the money. So I'm in a lot of that now with some of my other.
Cool.
I'm part owner of a private equity business and venture capitalist business and other businesses now. But to me, there's another world out, and your audience, I know, was one of them. Mm-hmm. That was totally foreign to me. We weren't taught that back in school. And I went to one of the top schools in the world. I didn't learn that in econ. They didn't teach that, basic understanding. That stuff you got to find out at another level.
Correct.
And I'm thankful that I've learned about that. Now I'm trying to pass that knowledge and information down to our audiences out there.
Correct.
There's another world that people are playing at.
Well, I'm grateful that you're sharing it because most people are unaware.
I mean, some of these guys are making $200, $300, $400, $500, $600 million and more just because they own a piece of that company before it gets acquired or goes public.
Crazy.
Isn't that amazing? So I needed to be in that game.
Amen.
And that's one of the main reasons, too, I went with integrity, because I just saw that upside. I mean, the growth that company's had, that I'm one of the, main shareholders of that.
Correct.
It's incredible, being on that side of the table. And now, with about close to a dozen companies, I now have an equity stake in that realm. Being that Q1 type investor type guy, where you can go out there and invest, hundreds of millions of dollars in startups That's an awesome place to be, and that's where the real money is. That's how these guys are going from, no-name guys to worth billions because they have equity stakes in multiple companies. I mean, look at Mark Cuban. Look what he's done. He took that first company he sold and boom, invested it. And that's what look at Magic Johnson, what he's done.
Correct.
Look at Michael Jordan, what he's done.
Same.
So there's a whole other world out there that these guys know about that you and I need to, and our teams and people that are listening need to know about.
Amen.
You need to have an equity stake in the industry.
Amen. Dude, this has been unbelievable, dude. Like, phenomenal. Tons of nuggets. Crazy prepared. If they want to learn more, reach out to you once again. Where do they go? What should they do?
Well, before we do that,
okay,
I got some more tips I will give.
Okay, let's
I know
go.
We went
Keep
long,
dropping
man.
them.
I'll
That's
bore you
okay.
out.
Keep dropping them.
But I think, won't you ask me this question about taking your empire to acquisition? I'm going to give some final tips.
Yeah, that's a good point. We did not give any final tips about when it comes to acquisitions yet. Let's do that.
Okay, you need to hire the best M&A team. Okay. It includes the lawyer. You shouldn't hire a regular lawyer, someone that specializes in M&A. And I hired the best. Some people say, how'd you find him? I actually talked to one of our competitors who's a friend of mine, Kevin Shields. He gave me a lady at Rothschild up in Philadelphia. She couldn't represent me, but she knew somebody that could. She goes, the number one firm. I said, give me the number one firm in Maryland, because that's where my company was located. And she gave me the number one guy, Chuck Morton. And he wasn't cheap. About $1,100, $1,200 an hour.
That's not at all. That's
yeah. Plus his expenses.
A good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. And then I hired Price Waterhouse Cooper for my accounting. I did all this before the deal, though. I knew I was going to do it. I was ready to do it. So you guys have to prepare for that. If it's in 2028, you need to be preparing this a year or two beforehand. So I locked down the attorney. I locked down the right accounting firm so they can get my numbers right. They get them to look right. Soon as when the deals were happening, they knew I had Chuck Morton on the team with Venable out of the Baltimore, D.C. area, and I had Price Waterhouse Cooper on my team, and they learned I had the top tax and IRS expert Brian O'Connor on my team. He's a professor at Georgetown. It was lights out. I had the dream team to do my deal. Cool. I came in prepared. And the preparation starts a year or two before that happens. You got to get your numbers right. You got to do a business makeover. That's another tip. You need a professional website. Get it redone.
Yeah.
Look at mine. It was redone. It needs, you know what I did? I took the top 3 websites from the top law firms that I could find, top real estate firms, the top insurance firm, and said, I told this company, design mine with all the best of those 3 companies. Yes. I wanted to look like a multi-billion-dollar company on my website. Okay. That's good. I have a saying, you want to work, you want to think like a billionaire. Okay, but work like you're broke. But you want to have the image of your company to look like a billion-dollar company at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. You want to have a great logo. You want to have a logo that looks like something, like a billion-dollar company. Amen. Okay, so there's companies out there. You can go to Fiverr for a few $100s and have somebody design a logo for you. Okay, there's people that specialize in the right kind of logo. So I changed my logo, prettied up your office space. Look at your office. Yeah. To me, now you look like something I would acquire. Not that your other office was bad, but this is night and day. You went from driving a Buick to a Ferrari right now. You got a nice office.
I love
now.
a Ferrari compared to a Buick.
Exactly. You got to do your social media branding. We talked about it. You got to have a better Business Bureau, membership. You got to have the apparel. Be visible. Be visible in the community. Be visible on TV, radio, billboards, church bulletins. You need to be everywhere. And we talked about social media. You got to be all over social media. But make sure your guys find the right social media team. They can reach out to me about that. Or they can reach out to you. I know you do a lot of that. Yeah. But make sure with people not going to take advantage of, because there's a lot of con jobs out there in this world. So make sure always get referrals and talk to people. Some people say, how do you get this knowledge? I talk to people. Yeah. I talk to people like Andy Albright and Sean Mike and Tom Dempsey and Ryan Kimball. I got a network of guys. I'm like, what did you do? Who you using for your social media? Boom. Who you doing for this? Just like I did finding the right attorney. That's right. My friend that gave me the referral, he was over at Merilife. He was one of their acquisitions. I'm like, who did you use? It wasn't the person. I didn't get his person, but I got the best person in my state to represent me. Yeah. You see what I mean? So tap into the network that's out there in this business. Make sure you're doing that. And then another final tip before we wrap up, Cody, because I know we really did a lot today. Make sure you visit the offices of those looking to acquire you. Know the vibe and feel it. Some people said, why'd you pick integrity? Because everybody was smiling. When I went to the front door, everybody smiled. Everybody was nice to the other companies, but they were smiling. The janitor was smiling. The lady at the front desk was smiling. When I walked in, they had a big old sign, "Welcome Tony and Kathy Holland," with my logo.
That's awesome.
With a picture of me and her on the board. That's first class.
That is first class.
As soon as I walked in, the other ones didn't do that. I caught COVID, and during the this whole process of discovery, Bryan Adams called me. Nobody else called me. He called me up and was praying for me while I was in the hospital.
Wow.
That meant a lot to me. When we met to do the final agreement, he said, I asked to meet with his wife. He says, no one's ever asked me that, but I'm going to give you that opportunity to meet my wife.
Wow.
We had dinner with his wife. I said, I have to pay for it. So I brought my wife, Kathy, and his wife, Robin. We got together, me and Bryan Adams got together. So not only God prayed for me, let me meet his wife, I said, this is the right move.
It's cool.
Others didn't want to do that. Not saying that's anything bad.
Sure.
But it just showed me I was with the right company. Shop your offer round, by the way. I shopped mine. I went back and forth and shopped my deal, before the letter of intent.
Yep.
I want to know, hey, up front what we're looking at. I'm not signing any letter of intent or anything until I shop it. You can hire a broker if you want, or talk to guys like me. I didn't hire a broker. They usually charge 1% to 2%.
Correct.
I didn't want to give up 1% to 2% of my deal. Okay,
big number.
It's a big number. I can do this myself. You can do it yourself. Just know the right people. Integrity had the right also package for my people. So when I don't do the deal just for you and your wife and your kids, that's important. What do your people to help build you get out of it? Do you understand that? Because if you don't do that, the people under you are going to resent you.
Correct.
And you're going to lose them in the process, because there is a process to an acquisition. The exit is you get a bunch of money and disappear. No, you got to be. They're going to do a deal. You got to stay around for 2 or 3 years to get the full payout. Okay, so if your people know that you did this just to benefit you and your wife and your kids, they're not going to be there long. They had the best comprehensive package that my guys, all my staff got stock. They allowed my top partners to become integrity partners. Some of you know, like Eric Allen, John Gordine, Dave Lewis, Everett Foné. You know what I mean? That appealed to me that they can now become partners. Anybody else on my team. So it was not just what for me, but what my partners can get, my downline agency can get, and my employees who made me. You didn't do this by yourself, right?
No.
If it wasn't for the staff around here, Cody, and your wonderful wife, you wouldn't be here today.
True.
So make sure your people are with, and don't accept ever the first offer. Don't ever accept that.
I love that.
Ask for more. What do you got to lose? Let's say they offer $50 million. Why not ask for 55?
Yeah.
What's the harm? They can say no. Or they can say, well, let's do 52. You just got $2 million more. Why not?
That's right.
Just ask, and have a mentor and a coach. Another tip in the process, I ask in the middle of the process. Hey, it's taking longer than I expected. I think we need to renegotiate. There's nothing wrong to ask. Nothing wrong to ask. So I did want to offer that. And again, if any of you guys want to reach me, just call or text me anytime. And I don't want anything out of it. I don't get any. And if they partner with one of my competitors, that's fine. They partner with Integrity, that's fine. I mean, it's my job at Integrity is to find new partners. It's part of my job responsibility. So I'm a managing partner there. So this is part of what we're supposed to do to help grow the company as a whole.
Yep.
So my incentive, they say, what do you get out of it? I want to see our stock grow with the right kind of people. I don't want, matter of fact, we're more strict now than ever, Cody. We don't want just anybody. We want the right kind of people. I want to work with people and partner with people like you that I can have dinner with. If you, and it's another point. If you can't have dinner with that person or have them over your house for dinner, you shouldn't have them on your team. You shouldn't be partnering with them.
Amen.
When you do that acquisition deal, you got to make sure it's more than just the money involved.
That's right.
So I just want to make sure your team is aware of that as well.
That's big. If they want to reach out, what was the number again?
443-253-3634. Texting is better though.
Okay, I agree.
If they call me, they probably won't get me on the first call.
Yeah.
But I will call them back.
You respond well to text though.
Absolutely.
You respond very well to text.
I love. That's the number one communication tool right now for seniors is texting.
Wow.
And I can't believe insurance agents out there don't use texting.
Crazy.
You got to text.
Oh, you got to text. It's incredible. Yeah. Dude, you're a rock star. You just
no.
freaking dropped massive gold today.
Nuggets.
I'm serious.
Nuggets.
Massive.
We're going to be the Nugget Man, the Gold
That's
Nugget Man. This is good, man. I enjoyed it. God bless you, Cody.
You
and
too,
you and your
buddy.
team have been excellent, and I enjoyed this process.
you.
And anything I can do to help your audience, I'm very transparent. I'm willing to pay it forward. Anything I can do to help anybody that's affiliated with Cody Askins and your great organization, be there to help.
Love you, brother.
God bless you. Love you too, man.
Tony Holland. See you on the next podcast.